everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're here at the European Blockchain Convention number 11. I'm Alona, co-CEO at Reblon PR Agency. Joining me now is Lior Lamesh, co-founder and CEO at GK8. Hi, Lior. How are you?
Hi, Alon. I'm doing great. Very exciting event. And thank you for having me for the interview.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us. How have you been enjoying the event so far?
It's very nice. I think it's very interesting balancing between not being too busy, but with the right people. I think any of the sub-events other than the event itself is managed very well. We like the team. So yeah, we're enjoying joining.
So tell us a bit about GK8 and, what have you guys been up to in the past year or so?
Of course. So yeah, it's not our first interview, but just in a high level, my background is cybersecurity. At the level of national security, GK8 is a Galaxy company. Galaxy is a Nasdaq listed company. It's a market leader in the digital asset space and the AI space. GK8, we started our journey in 2018 with the mission of increasing the level of trust in the markets by providing the most secure self-custody solutions in the markets. We're leveraging both main solutions, which are impenetrable wallets, which is the next generation of cold wallet. It's our unique ability to make the full process of communication with the blockchain without being connected to the internet. Alongside the MPC, we have a unique UMPC technology, which stands for Unlimited MPC. We have a more secure version of MPC, which is a patent that we have in the company, that allowing us to split the key into a lot of parts, which make it more hard for hackers to compromise that. We're working with both traditional institutions and crypto native institutions, including DTCC in the US, with our folk here from Prosegur, which is one of the largest cash logistics. We're working with BDAX, which is the only regulated custodians in South Korea. Yesterday on stage, I also shared about our experience with the All Unity, which is an interesting stablecoin project, which is a fully regulated Euro stablecoin under the BaFin regulation. It's a joint venture between Galaxy, DWS, which is formerly the treasury arm of Deutsche Bank, and the Flow Traders. GK providing the custody and the tokenization technology for the project. It has been pretty successful since the launch in August. The TVL is ahead of schedule. It's offered over multiple chains. So we are very proud to be the technology infrastructure to support this project. For us, it was a very exciting year, right? Since the beginning of the year, since Trump election, I would say, the regulation in the US become more clear. And us being an American company, again, Nasdaq listed, I think it's opened a lot of opportunity for us. Historically, Galaxy was traded in the Toronto Stock Exchange, but since May of this year, we've been uplisted to the Nasdaq. So I think it's very clear today that we see a lot of tokenization projects in the market as the most immediate use case for traditional institutions to join into the digital asset space. And I think that if you are participating mainly in a project in Europe, such as the Euro stablecoin, now we see more and more traction in the US with some very exciting projects that we're working on right now that's going to be announced also sometime soon. So I'm very excited about how we're going to finish this year. And market is interesting. That's for sure.
And so what does GK8 role within those tokenization? Can you tell us a little bit about the process and the company that you work with?
Of course. I think in order to enable tokenization, it's really different than just enabling a custom, right? I think, originally the need to manage private keys and enable functionalities around custody is more basic, I would say. Unlike just holding the keys, now you also need to interact with smart contract over the blockchain, right? So GK8 eventually, our role in tokenization, including three main things. The first thing is the issuance of smart contract. We have additional product called Tokenization Weaver. What we do there is leverage the private keys technologies that I mentioned before, the impenetrable vault and the MPC technologies that we have, and use it in order to create a smart contract within a wizard that doesn't require our clients to write any code. Literally can decide what functionalities you want to have in multiple instruments that we support, such as stablecoin and such as money market funds and deposit tokens. And then the smart contract is automatically created in the offline environment. And then it could be deployed to the blockchain. The full process of issuance and deployment of smart contract per different tokenization instrument is being done in a very secure fashion. The reason why it's important is because that's how you can ensure that no hackers can include malicious code in the smart contracts and then exploit it down the road when the economy of this token will fortune and it makes sense for hacker to compromise it. So you can secure the deployment of the logic of the token since the beginning. So it's very interesting, and that's the first tool that we do. The second thing is the management of the smart contract once it's on chain, right? Eventually, the smart contract of the token include a lot of administrative functionalities that these banks and other entities that we are collaborating with need to have in place. So, for example, they need to be able to do a minting and burning, like printing new token or revocation of existing tokens, or updating the allow list, which means which parties can participate in this new tokenomic, right? Because behind the scenes of chain, there are KYC processes that being done to any party that want to be involved because, these projects are fully regulated. And then there should be on-chain representation. So you need to update in the allow list this party that could participate in this new token. So this, what we call superpowers, are so sensitive because if hackers possess these private keys, it's a huge damage, and I can explain more about it later. So the management of the smart contract after it's on chain, that's the second role of GK8. And the third role is obviously the custody of the tokenized assets, right? Because once old Unity, for example, tokenizing the stablecoin and do the minting, the burning, and distribute it to the right partners, they also need to custody the stablecoin just as another cricket. So that's where our solution, the same way that it custody cryptocurrencies, it also custody tokenized assets to ensure the same level of security. And I think that since we are not, I would say, a regulated entity, right? Because we don't need to hold the money of no one, but our clients do. There are different things that we need to design the product accordingly, right? There are different regulations that we need to meet as the technology providers, right? For example, here in Europe, it's MiCA, DORA, in some projects also BaFin, right? So there are needs that we need to do around segregation of assets, right? The entity need to segregate his own assets compared to his client's assets. We need to do penetration tests and audits on an annually basis, both on the whole system and on the smart contract, by the way. We need to enable AML capability, right? So we have integration with different AML providers. So according to certain scores, I would say, of addresses and transactions, the compliance team can decide whether to freeze or unfreeze assets and manage it accordingly to ensure that all of the rules are forces. And then also on the policy engine level, right, there is a needed different level of control. If in standard cryptocurrency custody, all you need to do is just for different groups of different users and how much money everyone can just send to certain addresses and mix and match around it. Now it becomes more complicated. You need to do policy engine on the smart contract level. So for example, who can do minting? How much mint you can do, right? So it required us to do a different scope of functionality that we included in the product to meet this increasing demand for tokenization and management solutions around it. We're excited to be ready with the right offering in the right timing in the market. And as I mentioned before, there are some exciting things on the table that will be announced.
Yeah, super comprehensive and massive offering there, from end to end. So tell us, as a tech provider for tokenization, from what you see, what will make a tokenization project a success? What do they need to do? What do they need to have?
So since we're involved in a few of the, again, high-profile projects, I think there are a few things that we recognize already as patterns that makes project success. I think the first thing is having a trusted partner in the traditional finance world, right? So companies such as DWS or tier one banks, right? Having them involved since they already prove themselves in the traditional asset world is a real game changer because they really provide the needed level of trust, right? Eventually, it's all about trust, especially with the regulated products that should serve the regulated market and the traditional market. And once you have, a very strong brand name that proves this trust level in the traditional world, it makes a huge difference. So that's, I would say, one of the main anchors. The second anchor is having a strong digital asset partner, right? Somebody who is already rooted in the digital assets ecosystem and already have the connections and can really make things happen. That's where Galaxy comes into play, right? Other than GK8, obviously from the technology side, Galaxy do so much and are involved in so many projects. So in such projects, for example, we also provide the distribution and the liquidity and the market making. I really have the know-how from regulation perspective, how to do things in the right way to ensure that these projects are being operated and being done in the needed way. And also we have a lot of connections with a lot of the needed partners, right? So for example, we can bring in blockchains and foundations it willing to, invest in these projects. So it's kind of making the tokenization project successful even before it started, right? So imagine that foundation that want to encourage the token to be tokenized over their blockchain, and we support multiple chains in these tokenization projects. They're willing to invest like hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes to work with these tokens. So it's a real impact. So I think Galaxy do amazing job in bridging the gap between traditional assets, traditional finance companies to the digital assets world. And, we see that everywhere. But we see that also a lot in the infrastructure and tokenization, also with the staking, by the way, which we do a lot around that. So yeah, that's, I would say, the second thing. And obviously the third thing is really the technology partner, right? In our case is the custody and the tokenization. As I explained before, there is a different set of needs around the tokenization, such as the policy engine on the smart contract level, as I mentioned before. But even for staking, to be honest, right? At Galaxy, we have also nodes validators team. And to do staking, it's not necessarily for tokenization, by the way, but it was mentioning it. You need both the private key side of things and also the nodes validator side of things, since Galaxy is, I think, the largest nodes validator for Solana. So we already integrated, right? Yes. And we serve together very large entities in the market, including, as I mentioned before, BDAX, which is one of the only and the largest regulated custodians in Korea to do staking in Solana, and a lot more partners in the market. So anyway, to make tokenization projects successful, trusted traditional finance partner, trusted digital asset partner, such as Galaxy, and a strong technology infrastructure provider, such as GK8, obviously, that we are very proud about what we build here for capital and tokenization.
So it's impossible to wrap up an interview with you without talking about security. Well, let's talk a little bit about the security aspects of, tokenizing stablecoins or MMFs. Let's talk a little bit about the process there.
Sure. So it should be clear, and that's really one of the main messages that I'm bringing into this conversation. The main risk in blockchain in general, and the one thing that makes blockchain centralized, I would say, is the private keys, right? Blockchain is a irreversible protocol, and once a hacker possessing the private key, it can do things that cannot be changed later on. So it's a huge risk. And when it comes to crypto custody, if a hacker possessing the key of the custody, it can steal the bank's assets and run away, which is very painful. But when it comes to tokenization, it's even worse. In tokenization, the admin key, the one that I mentioned before that could do the minting, the burning, if someone possessing this key, it cannot just steal the bank assets. You can destroy the whole economy that the bank or the other organization that's in charge of this tokenization in once, right? He can need to himself as much money as he wants, or, burn the assets of everyone. And I think we see more and more projects where the source of truth for the token is on-chain, right? So if hacker, for example, mint himself as much stablecoin as he wants, and then going to some of the centralized exchanges or DeFi protocols, and there are centralized exchanges and DeFi protocols already right now, very reputational, one that willing to accept the stablecoins as collateral, and then bringing you lending in according to that. And so if the data over the blockchain is manipulated with hacker printing to himself tokens, he can run away with crypto, and it's a huge damage. And again, the whole economy that the token created could go lost. So it's all about private key security. That's how we see that. And it's very important with that understand how hackers think, right? Hacking is a business, right? How much hackers will invest to compromise into a bank and into tokenization project? It really depends how much you can get. It's about ROI, and hackers will invest millions to steal billions. And today, based on our experience, which, as I mentioned before, from the government, it's safe to assume that $1 million is what hackers need to invest in average to compromise one public internet-connected computer. And today, there is a misconception in the market that multi-sig or MPC solutions are sufficient for custody of crypto or admin key, but that's not the case, because the ROI for hackers to invest few millions in order to potentially compromise 2 or 3 internet-connected computers and then control the whole shards of multi-sig, of MPC, or a few keys of multi-sig, and then it can potentially steal billions, right? So multi-sig or MPC are definitely not the solution to custody the admin key for tokens, or in general, the private key for crypto custody. And then on the other end, there are cold solutions, which are not necessarily cold, right? They're all connected at some point. We see cold solutions connected with micro USB cables, such as the popular, thumb drive oriented solutions. Some connected with NFCs, with QR code and cameras, or even HSMs that constantly connected to the internet, and they're not secure enough, right? Because at some point there is input from internet connected computer to another computer that's supposed to be air-gapped or offline, but the instance when you take data from internet connected computer to another computer that's supposed to be offline or air-gapped is not air-gapped anymore. So we don't see the current code solutions in the market really fall. And that's why at GK8 by Galaxy, we come up with a new security approach for private keys management for tokenization custody projects, which called impenetrable wallet, impenetrable custody, right? Because in our case, we are able to create the full process of creating, signing, and sending blockchain messages, either for assets movement in custody or to do the minting and burning in tokenization, without ever receiving input from the internet. We can create it fully offline, and we use only outbound communication to send already defined messages. And that's why we can ensure that assets or the private keys cannot be exposed, and money cannot be stolen, and no hacker can mint to himself tokens. So I really think it's crucial as the market going in the coming 2 or 3 years, that the projects that running tokenization will ensure that the private keys are managed properly in order to ensure that they will succeed in their projects.
Perfect. That was super insightful. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Alona.
Thank you.
Always great being here with you.